Hi, Gabrielle here. Walking day 105. The mind as the enemy. This is what the self-forgiveness blog was about. Basically walking through the point of seeing the mind as the enemy and having reactions of like wanting to battle with the mind and, you know, see it as a point of blame, see it as, you know, a separate point from me, and, you know, blame it on the mind. You know, all the points that I'm seeing that I don't like about myself, or I don't want to live as within myself, I can go, oh, I can just blame it on the mind. But within this point, obviously, it's not beneficial to myself or to anyone, because blaming the mind actually fuels the mind, as I'm just separating myself from myself, because I am my mind. I am the mind within and as my physical body. I've created the mind the way it is. I've programmed my mind the way it is. No, I didn't create the mind as and create the whole process of what they did in the beginning, the Anunnaki and Anu and Enki and all those guys. But I didn't do anything to stop it either. So within that point of directly or indirectly being involved with the mind, the creation of the mind, I have in both points indirectly not done anything to stop the point, not stood up to, you know, people who were creating the mind. I don't obviously remember those points, but you know what I'm trying to say. Indirectly, I have participated in the mind by continually thinking, having emotions, feelings, and judging myself, judging others. So within these points, realizing that seeing the mind as the enemy is not smart, it's not helpful, and it's not supportive in any way. So thus I've walked through self-forgiveness and stopping this point of seeing the mind as the enemy, wanting to blame the mind, wanting to use the mind so I don't have to face myself and kind of separate myself from this point of being the mind, so I can, you know, have a point within myself to look at and say, it's not my fault, it's the mind. And it's like all these points that come up during process, and really you can't blame the mind, because again, I am the mind. It's physically within my physical body, and you should, if you're interested, you should listen to the Quantum Mind, which is a new series out on Eqafe. It goes into detail how we are being directed by the mind and how we've allowed it to just take over and control us completely. I mean, it's fascinating in the sense that how specific and detailed it is, and how it controls us in every breath. But within this point of the mind being us, this is our solution as well. I mean, yes, the mind is us, but we are the life here. We have the life essence within us. We are life here. And so thus we can walk and direct ourselves to become equal and one with our minds, with the thoughts, stopping the reactions, stopping the participation in the mind, in the thoughts, in the back chat, walking the process that's here, the self-forgiveness, the self-corrective action, and walk that in our living to thus slowly but surely walk your process and start stopping the mind and disengaging the mind, and so you become the directive principle instead of having the mind direct us into basically enslavement. So thus we can become the directive will, the directive principles of ourselves, and then start creating support systems here that support everyone instead of enslavement, because what's going on within our bodies, the mind controlling us in all aspects, is what's going on in the external world as a world system, as a money system, as all the systems in this world that support survival, support, survival of the fittest, and allow people to suffer and die, because it's not a point of caring about life and equality and oneness, it's a point of surviving and getting what's mine and getting my own self-interest met and not caring about other people. So it's that mentality, the mind, that's how the mind generates itself, because it needs to survive, and it survives off of energy, which depletes our physical bodies and eventually causes our own death. So we're the cause of our own death through participating in the mind. So it's quite definitely a process of understanding, doing your research, educating yourself on the mind, on the mind consciousness system, and so we can understand it as ourselves and thus be able to walk it in a support for ourselves and solution to stop the mind from controlling us, so we can become life as we are life. Life is here within the physical. The mind is not real in the sense that it's not life. It's not natural. And so I'm continuing to walk my process and stopping the thoughts, the back chat, judgments, the feelings, the emotions, all the points that our mind generated, and walking here as a physical, and so I can become physically here and only be moved by myself, have nothing move within me, so thus I can be my own directive will and do what's best for all. Definitely check out the series on Eqafe. I'll post some links of some videos I mentioned in this vlog, and if you're interested in any of these points of the Desteni material, the Destiny topics, suggest definitely listening to these interviews, because they're fascinating and they really explain in detail and specificity of how the mind works, how we are interconnected, interlinked, have interrelationships, all sorts of connections with the mind, and how we are the mind, and it explains it, and so you can understand it for yourself and start walking your process. Alright, thanks for watching.